Welcome to the first lecture of week 10. During this week, we will examine the evolution from procurement and tendering to supply chain management. The focus is on the following points: tendering as a process, and then the centralization of tendering as a reform. Public procurement is about the purchasing of goods and services by government from private sector. Two management decisions must be made prior to the decision to purchase goods and services. First, management must attach a weight to the benefits and costs of producing the desired goods through private commercial vendors. Secondly, as the tendering process is a lengthy and complex one, it is not feasible to purchase everything needed by government through tendering. In fact, current government policy through treasury regulations dictates that only purchases in the amount of 100,000 rand or more require formal tendering processes. For public sector purchases over 100,000 rand, goods must be acquired through tendering. The tender process includes calling of tenders, the nature and specification of the desired goods or service must be clearly communicated. Information about the required attributes of potential suppliers must be communicated. The closing date and time of the tender must be made clear, and the fact that no late tenders will be accepted must also be communicated. Opening and assessing and awarding of tenders. To avoid the unfair selection of the tender bid, all tenders received in good time must be opened in public. Particulars of each tender must be made public, and this information should be entered into an official tender register to be kept for auditing purposes. A well-qualified internal tender selection committee or tender board should compare the tenders against one another as well as against a set of predetermined criteria. The tender committee should then make its selection and prepare a contract for the successful bidder. And here one can see the process that is followed for procurement in a procurement cycle. And I'm using the example of Transnet. With the political regime change to the 1994 ANC-led government came a number of reforms in public sector delivery. Key among these were efforts to reform what the government perceived as an inefficient procurement and tendering policy framework. In this regard, the ANC government channeled its reform effort into two broad focus areas, namely the promotion of principles of good governance and the introduction of a preference system to address certain historically created racial and social disparities.